call 2024 CR 007361, 2024 CR 007359, State versus Johnny Abel Munoz. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state,
Daniel S. for the state of Texas.
for the defense?
Adrian Bettis.
And are you Mr. Munoz?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you entered a plea in each of these cause numbers on September 10th. You entered a plea and the cause number ending in 59 to count 1 and count 2. You entered a plea of guilty and you pled true to the repeater allegation. And the cause number ending in 61, you pled guilty to counts 2 and counts 3 and true to the repeater enhancement allegation. In each of the cause numbers, the court found there was sufficient evidence to find you guilty of each counts and found the enhancement true. According to your plea bargain agreement, punishment is to be assessed at a cap of 40 years in the prison. There's an affirmative finding of a deadly weapon. There are no applications. The cases will run concurrently. The state is taking in consideration 2024 CR 5164 and 2024 CR 007370. In each of the cause numbers, counsel, you waived PSI, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. The court has reviewed the defendant's criminal history without any objection from the defense. And it's the court's understanding. Do you have any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then the court will hear argument. Defense, you're asking for, I'm assuming, 40 years. Is that correct?
State judge.
I'm sorry, state?
Yes, Your Honor.
In just one moment. All right. State, I'll hear your argument.
Judge, this case is an incredibly serious one. These were called out for suspicious person at this motel.
All right, just one moment. Excuse me, everyone. You all need to whisper as though you were spies. If you cannot do that, then y'all need to stop talking. All right, you may proceed.
They're investigating a suspicious person at this motel. When they arrived, they attempted to locate the defendant. And one of the officers was looking down the hallway. He was shot at by the defendant. The officers had to take cover. Several people from the motel from inside their rooms came out. The defendant at that point forced him at gunpoint to let him in the room. He then let them go, but continued firing at officers. He then also fired at others through the walls of the motel and could have killed several other people. Several people had to evacuate the room. Several people had to lie down on the ground to avoid any type of gunfire. This is incredibly serious. We think that 40 years is more than appropriate here. You could have killed multiple officers and multiple bystanders.
All right, defense.
Judge, this in fact is a serious case, but Johnny has serious problems. And I'm asking that the court give him mercy today. And I am asking for the minimum 15 years. I'd ask the court to take judicial notice of the court's file. In it, there's a competency report that was completed. And in that competency report, the doctor notes a few things about Mr. Munoz, which I think, frankly, should be taken into account and decided his sentence. Mr. Munoz appears to have a mental illness of some kind. It's never been diagnosed, but the doctor did review records, medical records, did talk to his family. His father did have a mental illness, and it's been suspected that Johnny has one. Johnny got locked up at 12 years old for the first time. He has had trouble with drugs and alcohol. He is an alcoholic, and on this particular occasion, he states that he was on a bender, and it certainly doesn't excuse what he did. He knows he's responsible for what he did, but he did what he did because he was on drugs, and he was on drugs because he has an addiction. So we have a cycle that Mr. Munoz has been having to deal with his entire life. And yes, this could have gotten very, very bad. But thankfully, it didn't get as bad as it could have. I think that Johnny needs to hopefully be put in a therapeutic community at prison. I think that he needs a whole bunch of counseling, a whole bunch of classes that, and I hope that TDCJ is gonna offer that and that he takes full advantage of that. But I don't think that he's a monster that needs to forfeit the balance of his adult life. I think that an appropriate sentence would be somewhere in the 15 to 20-year range, and that's what I'm asking that you do. Thank you.
All right, so I have several questions. My first question is, what is his mental illness?
I don't think it's ever been diagnosed, Judge, and I don't want to tell you that for sure he has one. Frankly, given the facts of this case, I thought from the get-go that I should file a competency exam, also based off of the defendant's initial behavior. That very well might have been just because he was on drugs, but there, as far as I know, there's not been an official mental diagnosis.
So he is competent,
Yeah, oh, yes, yes,
and he was sane at the time of the offense.
yes.
All right. So then here's my next question. Previously, he went to prison for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Is that correct?
Yes.
So why did he have a gun? Because he's not allowed to have a weapon.
I don't have a good answer for that, Judge. He shouldn't have had a gun. And I know that I'm asking a lot, but that's my job to ask for a lot.
No, I understand.
And I know very well, Judge, he might not be he might not be deserving of mercy, but that's kind of the point of mercy, is to be merciful to the people that don't deserve it. I'm just asking that you show him a little bit of grace today, Judge.
All right. I don't think 15 years is appropriate for this offense. For the aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, how long was he in prison?
15 years.
So he was in prison for an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon for 15 years. And previously in his criminal history, he was placed on deferred adjudication. What was that offense? Was that the deadly conduct?
I believe so, Judge. The ag assault, he was convicted and placed in confinement in 2008 for 15 years. Trying to find the deadly conduct, he was convicted and also placed on for 15 years.
All right. All right, this is where I'm at. And I will tell you, whenever you go to judges school, they always tell you, say as little as possible on the record, right? But I'm a firm believer that when you explain to people a little bit why you're doing the things that you're doing, so people won't think it's arbitrary. When I was a defense attorney, I would always feel that people were just randomly maybe throwing out numbers. And I'm not saying that the state is doing it in this case. I think the offer that they tendered is an appropriate offer in this case. A lot of times when people have cases that are aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, if somebody's pointing a weapon at somebody, if somebody's showing a weapon at somebody and threatening them, people focus a little bit of what might have happened. Well, this could have been a murder. So you should sentence him to 40 years. I do know that he has maybe some mental health issues. Maybe that's brought upon the fact that he has been in and out of custody since he's been 12 years old. And if you have somebody who's in and out of custody since they've been 12 years old, I know that there is an issue, perhaps parenting, because I don't take the idea that there are bad seeds. I don't think a child is born and everybody says, I knew since the time that child was born, time when they threw their bottle out of the crib or threw up on somebody, I knew that child was going to be a problem. So I think a lot of it has to do with environment. I think a lot of it has to do with parenting. Of course, there are issues with drugs, alcoholism. That really is not an excuse for behavior. So I want you to know that I reviewed everything, and the reason why I remember your case and I remember you, and the reason why I asked them to give me the stipulations again is because I want to be sure of everything that I read and make sure that my memory is correct on things. Um, of course, you know, this one is not an appropriate situation for probation because that's been tried with you before. All right. Is there anything you wish to say before I pass ruling? All right. I want to let you know that I wish you the best in your life, but you're going to be going to prison today. Uh, the cases will run concurrent with each other. And I want you to know, even though we're dealing a little bit in what ifs, you should really consider what ifs because you could have killed officers that day. You could have killed people who were just at that hotel trying to get a good night's sleep. You understand? Uh, and each cause number, the court will take into consideration 2024 CR 5164, 2024 CR 007370. I'm going to recommend for you the therapeutic community mental health unit. I don't know if they'll accept you into that unit based upon your criminal history, but I do know that if you don't request it, you definitely will not be placed in that. I have no jurisdiction to order them to place you in that community, but continue to ask for it.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And how old are you?
43.
All right. The court is going to sentence you to 35 years in the prison. And give you credit for any time served. Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand it and sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we can go off the record. Here's the thing, I realize that's, oh, and I'm sorry, in each case, there's an affirmative finding of deadly weapon. All right, we can go off the record. Here's the thing, I know that's a lot of time. And I realize how old you are, and I realize that prison time is hard time, right? But this is what I want you to understand. One, this is a part of punishment. But two, nobody ever knows how long they're going to live. Nobody ever knows what's going to be happening with parole. But what you need to do is make sure that you get your life in order, right? And be the best that you can be. And at prison, do not become institutionalized because it's easy to become institutionalized. It's easy to go to prison and become a part of this thing where you're just committing crimes in prison and other people are committing crimes around you or towards you at the prison. Don't become institutionalized. Just try to be the best that you can be each day. And, you know, look forward to go in there with the understanding that, hey, there's a great chance that I'm going to end up getting parole, and just try to better yourself. So when you do get paroled, that you're ready to be in society, do the right things. And if you need to be on medications, to be on medications. And if I'm still here, who knows what will happen, right? But if I'm still here on the bench and you are lost, don't know where to go to get help, you can always come back and see me, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And I say, if I'm still on the bench, who knows? Maybe I win the lottery or something. I don't know. All right.
All
So
right.
good luck to you, okay?
Thank
You're welcome. Thank you, counsel.
Thanks, Judge.